Fine.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Live. And yeah. All right. Here we are. Give it a few minutes here. Can you hear that? Sounds like someone's pouring out. Okay. Did you hear that?
No, I heard something. I don't know what it is.
That was too funny. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it was a commercial and it was like a Coca-Cola commercial or something.
Huh.
Right. Welcome, everyone. This is Michelle for CasaELM and Expat Life Mexico. I am super excited and delighted to have Kathy Hampton here today. This month, we are focusing on health, wellness, self-awareness, women empowerment, and all of the things in between for women, and all of the interesting retreats that we have set up for this year and going into next year. It's kind of a call for women to take care of all aspects of their lives and themselves, but also to bring awareness to all of the different types of retreats that are out there. I was just chatting with Kathy a little bit about just, some of the places that she plans on going and experiencing, not just my retreat, which is coming in September, but also other retreats by others. And she's also going to have one here in San Miguel. So I'm very excited about that at CasaELM. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. I will kind of cut in and say, welcome Katrina, welcome Kenya, welcome Kaya. Thank you all for being here. Again, this is Michelle for Expat Life Mexico. I'm located in central Mexico in San Miguel de Allende. If you haven't heard of it, please look us up. Look up my website, CasaELM.com. And we have tons of really fun events, relocation tours, and also this month, we're talking about retreats. So I have a retreat as well set up in September. I think it's the 26th. It's called Peace, Not Pieces. And this is always for women. And it's to bring you all sorts of goodies and tidbits. But today we're going to focus on Kathy. Kathy Hampton's going to tell us about herself. And also we'll talk more in depth about Wellside Retreats and what she plans on doing here in San Miguel in August. So if you all have time, please come out and support her cause and what she's up to. So from there, I'll let you go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate you for having me on your channel. And to be here on, what is it, Wine Down Wednesday? Yes, I appreciate it.
I forgot about that part because I'm not drinking tonight. Thank you.
I have my sparkling water here.
Oh, but yeah. Plain water tonight. Sorry. Yes.
No problem. So yeah, I'm Kathy Hampton, and I always introduce myself from Wellside Retreats, and Wellside Retreats is a transformational destination retreat service, and I'm a transformational life coach. And it's really about women transitioning, we hope, through retreating once they have gone away from whatever they've been involved in, like being home with tons of things to do for family as a caregiver, being at work, in a toxic job situation, or whatever is not serving them well, moving away from that and not running away, but going to a safe place. And this goes back to your soft landing. going to a safe place to get away for their wellness, their peace of mind. And Wellside Retreats was born out of a girlfriend's weekend way back in 2005 when I was invited away from Philadelphia to Arizona to spend time with a small group of women I didn't even know, except for my sister who invited me. And we found a place to stay, and we all had our own room, and we went to a spa there. I don't even remember the name of the spa. I think it may have been Camelback Inn or something in spa. And we had a great time. But what I came away with, the impact that unplanned trip did for me was change the way I saw myself when I got back. There was no facilitation. We sat around and we talked. We had good food. We ate well. We toured the Scottsdale area and went shopping and spent a lot of time around swimming pools, in saunas, got massages. But when I got back, I didn't realize that I had been suffering. My body had been suffering. I didn't know it at the time until I had a body treatments. I felt so much better. And it was because I hadn't taken care of myself. So I came back more aware of my condition as a mother of two and an auntie to one. I raised 3 children, and including a niece, was married and had a dog and had a job, was running, all around, doing all the things that moms do. And I wasn't taking care of myself. And so retreating became wellness became a part of my vocabulary. I actually started learning about it. I went and got a massage, became a massage therapist, licensed massage therapist, and went to a holistic school for that. So I studied all different types of massage modalities and could speak to people about Reiki at the time, and Ashiatsu, and herbal treatments to the body and to the skin, also meditation, all kinds of things. And so what did I do with it? I practiced massage therapy for a little while, but having a full-time job doing that, plus, I stopped doing that probably after 3.5 years, 4 years, and started writing about wellness and mental health issues. So that was easier for me to do, and I learned how to create my own blog and thought that I would just do it. And yeah, it was right then and there a hobby, but I always had a kind of a board, a memory board or whatever of the things that I wanted out of my learning. And that was actually to have my own spa. Okay. And so that hasn't come, but Wellside Retreats was born from that, kind of a mobile, what I consider maybe a mobile spa, but a place for women to get away and be together, not all the time, but just to have a safe space to talk about, what they're going through, and get to know themselves. And the tools that I use that I have found to be helpful for myself, which I impart on others, is journaling. One of those things is journaling, because journaling had opened up a whole new world to me. I bring that along to do journaling, to have people tell their stories if they so choose to do in a group setting. But The retreat that I want to do and will be doing at CasaELM has to do with the various treatments and practices of wellness in Mexico, the cultural practices of wellness and healing. And we know that you have on tap Nina Simone, who's gonna do all the wellness practices she has at her fingertips, provide that to the participants who come, along with the thermal pools and hot springs, and the Temazcal and massage that's being offered. Those are actually the two indigenous things that are going on, but I believe there are excursions to have a cacao ceremony. So there are all kinds of things that women or people do in other cultures outside of the United States. And that's where I really want to start going to. My very first successful retreat was done here in the United States in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania. And the spa that was available did have some limited services, but we provided basically telling one story through writing and journaling. So I'd like to take it.
Retreat?
No, this was for journaling. We had someone who talked about telling your own personal story at this particular retreat, and releasing basically the stories that you sometimes don't tell or express yourself. So that was the retreat that I had in the United States, but plan on doing more outside of the country. I believe travel and seeing differences makes one appreciate newness, and some people need newness in their lives. I really do think they need a change in order to transform. You know, a pivotal way to make change is for you to experience change. So yeah.
Absolutely, I agree wholeheartedly with all of that. I wanted to say welcome very quickly to Lorraine. Hi, Lorraine, and hi, Sunny, welcome. And Yolanda. Yolanda was at our Peace Not Pieces retreat in April. So thank you for coming and being here. We had an amazing, very healing week as well. Welcome, Mildred. And yes, it is extremely transformational to have these experiences. I think sometimes we don't even realize how much we might need that week or however long your retreat choice is. I think that oftentimes we carry a lot of weight as women, and we're used to bearing loads and doing and going, and sometimes we're slowly deteriorating in every way, whether it's mentally, physically, there could be, long-term ailments that are coming later on down the line. I noticed with some of my, traumas over the years, although I was always kind of very conscious about what I ate and physical activity, that stress was kind of like a way my body would hold on to things and I would gain weight. And I wasn't aware of it. It wasn't, something that I sat and thought about. I wasn't jumping on the scale. It's just, I noticed at different points in my life that I would put weight on, and it was usually around a lot of stress and a lot of traumas and things like that. And I'm sure we all hold something during those times as well. And if it goes on for years, it can create so many more things in the future. One of the things I know that I experienced with one of my relatives, and I think I mentioned this last week, was she ended up having dementia, and wasn't a norm, and it's not a norm because her two sisters, my aunts, are much, they're older, they're in their 90s, And my this one aunt in particular passed away earlier, and she just had a lot of stress in her life. And I do think that it led to that in her 70s. She just really started to deteriorate. So I think we have to be, aware, and it's always nice to have people around us that bring that awareness to light. It's important for us to recognize what those stressors are, whether it is work, like you said, or just, being a caretaker. I mean, I know a lot of us as we get older, that becomes our responsibility. Being a parent, having a relationship that's not healthy, whether it's a relationship with a job or a spouse or whomever, it's one of those things where I think we really have to self-assess, and we also have to take those steps necessary to heal. And I do believe retreats are a great way to reset. And especially as you were saying earlier to me, that experiencing them in different parts of the world gives you not just perspective on travel and, other things, but it gives you a way to experience healing through other forms, other cultural forms that we're not maybe used to. Yes, we want the spa and the massage, but having a temazcal is so cleansing. I've done quite a few. We did them in our retreat in April. Well, we did one in April, but I've done them before in other settings, and it's just such a spiritual, nurturing, cleansing way to restart the resetting process. So I'm very excited that you're coming. Welcome to Beekeeping Lady. I like that name. Thank you so much. Welcome, Deborah. Welcome, Cheryl. And yes, Kathy, this retreat will be amazing. Yolanda, she's going to have it at CasaELM. So Kathy, Yolanda's familiar with CasaELM. So I had a question for you. Since you've kind of worked with women in terms of like life coaching and things like that, what do you think, or, in your experience, what do you feel has been kind of like some of the maybe in general stereotype kind of norm things that women kind of encounter, and, as far as challenges that kind of lead them down the path to saying, hey, I need a retreat, or I need to gather with and do the sister thing, sisterhood gathering.
Right. Well, it's funny. A lot of people don't think about retreating to help themselves to do the work for themselves. In fact, I've had women say, oh, I'd never go on a retreat to basically tell my, sad story, or, and I always thought that was interesting, but I believe, and that was maybe about 4 or 5 years ago when I started doing this, before planning for it before the pandemic hit, and then having to cancel a couple of retreats. But what I realized is women will talk to me about coaching as opposed to going on a retreat to work out things, not knowing that this is a place, it's a place to be free and have fun. You can still have fun, but there's going to be some learning and learning about themselves. The other thing that women believe that retreating is like a vacation at a all-inclusive vacation spot. It's a little bit more than that, and so I've had to explain what a retreat is, and I believe since 5 years ago, more women understand what retreats are than they did when I was getting ready to start the business. So I don't have to explain that. But when they see that it's going to be in a destination that's outside of their norm, that's when it becomes exciting.
Right.
So, and they will, and so the people that have signed up are excited because they want to learn about these things. They want to do sound bowl. They want, they want to do, they're interested. And so and they're interested in being in a place that they've never been. I haven't been to San Miguel Allende. So I'm excited about that. I've seen pictures of it. I've seen, actually Rashida Dow and Anne Marie, brought San Miguel Allende to me after I even saw you on HGTV. So
Love it. I saw Rashida last night. She's here in SMS.
Oh yes, at the meet, the meetup. So yeah, so I've seen all the pictures and it's been very pretty and and then here comes CasaELM and an opportunity. And we've talked a couple of times, us wanting to work together to do something. And finally, that's when I decided that CasaELM would be the spot. But I believe that more and more people are understanding how getting away and spending, I'm going to say quality time, in different space, but also in sisterhood, in a community. It could be a small group or even a little larger, but sharing the experience is part of experiential travel as well. So you can do a number of things with retreats. I think they're really important and really meaningful nowadays. When I thought of retreats, when I first heard of the idea of a wellness retreat, I've only knew them as yoga retreats or religious, retreats that lady circles would go on, to a hotel or to a banquet hall. And now we have, the wellness retreats, which do tap into some spirituality, but also what I call, this individual empowerment that you talk about, raising yourself up. And I really became interested in the women's empowerment movement, so to speak, very most recently, I would say in 2017, when there were a lot of, it seemed to me, and I think it probably dawned on me that it was probably because I was going through separation and divorce. And so there seemed to be all these conferences and all these seminars and all of this women's empowerment stuff going on when I was feeling I needed to be empowered.
When you needed it the most. I wanted to say something. First, I want to say welcome, Kaya, and thank you, Yolanda. We really enjoyed our week also in April. I wanted to make a comment about the perception of what a woman's retreat is, because one of the things when I first started talking about my personal experience as well, choosing to leave a relationship that didn't really work or serve the purpose that it needed to for me, and also kind of recognizing that I really want to have a space and a life that reflects being peaceful, and all of the things behind it that, came out of my stuff and turned into Peace Not Pieces, that I was really careful to make sure the messaging wasn't about dumping, right, and complaining and basically bitching. I really wanted to be very careful with that, because that wasn't the purpose, right? The purpose was to heal from the things that brought you to that place in your life and that made you realize, you know what, this isn't how I see my future. And I chose to be empowered by this choice that I'm making to reclaim what I need to reclaim. And for me, it was more about that. So I think sometimes, as you said, people may not realize that they need this experience because the perception is, oh, it's just going to be, you know, a week of complaining and all. None of those things happened at Peace, not Pieces. It was really artistic, and it was reflective, and it was all about the women that chose to participate, and they shared what they felt like sharing, right? It wasn't about, you know, whatever. And some of the experiences that people had nothing to do with the relationship. It was just what you felt like you needed to reclaim for yourself. So I wanted to kind of say it is very transformational, but it's a self thing, and it's a space that you feel safe to, like you said, lean on the women that are in that space to support whatever it is, whether you wanted to speak about whatever you wanted to speak about or not. It was really a lot of workshops that led us through the journeys that we needed to take, and, you know, empower us so that at the end of the week, you're leaving with some form of healing tools that you can use, experiences that really help you tap back into self and self-care and self-love, and basically, you know, energy clearing your space. So I just wanted to kind of say that, you know, because yeah, there's the girls' weekend where you go, or a trip, and you drink and you bitch. And yeah, we've all done that, right? But you know, but retreats aren't typically that. I mean, I look at a retreat as a spiritual healing of the soul, the mind, you know, leaving with something that makes you feel good. So I just wanted to say that you know, conjunction with your comments.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, that is the hope that you know, it's important that when either communicating to people about the retreats, or you know, or selling the retreat, or whatever vehicle you use to get the attention, that this is something that is needed. We believe that it's needed. I impart that there's a pre-retreat and a post-retreat meeting, especially for smaller groups. And that is to introduce people to one another, to get people to know who they're going to spend time with, air out any questions, or, you know, for people as well. And I actually have been invited by one of the people who's coming to on the retreat to 2 events. I thought she wanted to meet me for lunch, because we've never met in person. And then she invited me to a sound bowl well, it's not a ceremony, a sound bowl session for equestrian. It was equestrian sound bowl for horses.
That's beautiful.
Because she volunteers at a horse farm.
Nice.
And so we were very relaxed also, along with these horses. So you know, she was saying how exciting it's going to be for us to experience this in another place.
Yes.
You know, without horses. So I've already met one person, one of the people who will be coming. We do have 2 spaces available, 2 spaces left. It's not too late, and you can go onto the website, my website, to get more information. But
the chat.
Go ahead. Okay.
It's Wellside Retreats.care, correct?
Yes, that's right. And it's not too late if to sign up to come. And if you have any questions, there's an email address, I believe, there. You can email me. I can info@wellsideretreats.com is the email address, if you'd like to
Wellside
Yeah.
Retreats. Is it wellsideretreats.com or
.com.
Okay.
.com for the email, yes.
Okay.
So so yeah, if you have questions about what's it like, or what's it going to be like, the only thing that I do know that where it's going to be is a beautiful place. Only because I've only seen pictures of it, and that's what I do know.
I vouch for it. I vouch for it.
Yeah.
Yolanda vouches for it as well.
Okay. Well, good.
She
And
vouches for it.
yeah, and so and then the rest, I appreciate the programming suggestions that Michelle has provided to me. And the rest will be, me, there'll be opportunities for for coaching with me, or and we'll be having journaling and meditation sessions by me, along with other programming as well. So it's a full week, and I'm excited about it because because I'm curious. First of all, I'm really nosy. I'm curious, want to see see a different place, but also want to experience something new. I'll be experiencing something new myself.
I love
And
it.
that's, yeah, we're able to share. I think that's a great part of building sisterhood, as well as community wherever you go on this. I have to be open to meeting and being with everyone who comes. And I'm excited to meet new people.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say a quick welcome to Kaya, if I didn't say that already. Kim, welcome, and Miss Kay Bates. I think you're on, and maybe, I don't know. I just want to make sure that I acknowledge.
Oh, sure.
So I think, kind of the week is, again, about relaxing, getting international experience. Yes, it's Yolanda saying, building relationships, sisterhood, what I've experienced in the last year and a half of having the guest house is that a lot of people, I think, have become so accustomed to traveling alone, meaning being separate, right? And I think in our culture in the United States, and I say our because that's where I grew up as well, that we've kind of, become very insular in how we move through life. But one of the things that I recognized is the initial, I think, feeling that people may have is, oh, I don't know if I want to be in the space where I just have a room and I'm in a house. But it's been very magical. I have to say that it's been very magical and special to have ladies come and, see friendships blossom and see them be in touch and spend time talking, sitting on the couch, drinking tea, having wine, and just, exchanging and being just as if we knew each other for a long time, for years. Sometimes it just feels so natural. And I don't know if it's that, okay, I left my environment and I went to a new country or a new place. Whatever it is, we're all taking these journeys, right? And these experiences and these chances to go and spend a whole week and, be a part of something. And I really do believe that a lot of those experiences, people leave with so much more than they anticipated and they felt. And maybe even leaving with kind of like, wow, I didn't realize how much I needed this. It's beautiful, it's a beautiful thing. I've seen so many beautiful connections. I had a guest that came in March and she was there for the relocation, but there was another person that came last year, but happened to be back at CasaELM again. The point is, I got a message from her yesterday and she was just like, hey, have you heard from so-and-so? I haven't heard from her and I'm concerned about her. And she normally gets back to me. This is the kind of friendships that have developed. And I was like, oh, let me call her sister and let me send her, it's like, and none of us are in the same place, it was just kind of, it touched me. She was fine, but it just kind of touched me that, this came out of that 1 week of them spending time together. And I didn't even realize, because a lot of times I'm not in touch with every single person every day, every week. I didn't even realize that they were like communicating all the time. So my point saying all of that is that I think a lot of us come away from these experiences with new bonds, new friendships, new relationships that are really healing and just what we need, so
Yeah.
it's a great way not just to experience a new place and to also solo travel, but to also, possibly gain new friends.
Yeah, new relationships. Absolutely. I think that is so important. As we get older, our relationships change, our friendships change.
Yeah.
I've had to explain this to my kids who are young adults, who had such big groups of friends, and then they started dwindling away. When you go away to college or you move out of the state that you once lived in, or there's all these changes, and you come down to like two people who you really talk to on a regular basis, and then sometimes you don't even talk to those two people, and so relationships start dwindling away. And what I've read literature about how during this time, especially during the pandemic, people were without people. Everyone was away from one another, and though you couldn't find those two friends, and so it really started shedding the light on how we need one another, especially you get older.
Yes.
Your social circles need to be regenerated, like genes or something, in order for you to live, because we are not supposed to live alone. We are not supposed to spend time in isolation or be by ourselves. And so I think it's great when you can go away and meet new people. I've experienced that in the little travel that I've done, outside of the United States, meeting people who I met virtually from, say, Exodus Summit or Exodus Summit. I mean, these are the people who have become friends. It is amazing how that happens. Absolutely. And now, other people who I see in different other platforms that were referred to us through Exodus Summit, and we are friends, we're colleagues, and stay in touch with one another. So there's no mistake, Michelle, that your soft landing is like part of this whole movement. I think that is so good, and that people stay in touch with one another. I think it's fantastic. It's fantastic, and it's actually very warming. It makes me feel good.
It really does.
I
don't know how other people's experiences were in the US. I wanted to just say welcome to Where is Shay? And she had a question. I'm going to get to her question in a moment. And thank you so much, Yolanda. And yes, sustainable sisterhood. I like that. But I feel like very different living in Mexico, being here, and also maybe with doing what I do. It could have a lot to do with what I do. But I do think San Miguel as a whole, and why the attraction is so great to so many people, is because you come here and it's almost like you joined a city that's a family. And people want to get to know you. You're not don't get me wrong, not everyone's going to say hello or whatever, but for the most part, people are very friendly. They want to talk and and I really didn't experience this in the places that I grew up in, that I lived in the US. And I think it's just because that's the culture in that place, right? That's how it was in Connecticut. We very much had the attitude of minding your own business, right? That's sort of the way it was coined. When I lived in Florida, it was kind of this way. The only place I lived and really spent a lot of time in, where people really were more friendly, I won't say even friendly, but just kind of more courteous, was in Dallas. People did speak and they would say, "How you doing?" or "Hi," or you would get a nod or whatever. And I remember being much younger and I wasn't used to that. And when people would try to talk to me, I literally would think something was wrong. And it just shows you, what we take on and what we adapt in terms of where we are, where we're from, right? We're kind of protecting ourselves from whatever we think we're protecting ourselves from. But being here, I feel like I've never had such sisterhood. I've always been a person who connects people, right? I had lots of people that I knew that weren't necessarily in my inner friend circle, but I knew who they were. I'd be like, okay, someone would ask a question about how do I do this, or what do I, and I'd be like, oh, you got to contact this person. And I was connecting, and I loved having gatherings, dinners, and things like this. So I like to do those types of things. So all of this kind of makes sense now, but here, it just feels so different and so special. And I can say here as in not just this place, but here as in this time in our lives where Exodus Summit, what I'm doing, what Adelia's doing, and anyone else out there that is bringing this whole kind of community type, thing together where we're just, I think we're all just amazed by it, right? We're so last night when we got together, and it happens all the time. It wasn't just, yesterday. It was amazing, it was special, Exodus meetup in San Miguel, but it's just this thing where people come and it's almost like they got out and they're like, oh, this is great. And I can't believe I'm finally here. And it's just this whole brightness that they bring and this excitement. And I just understand more and more just how much we really need these things in our lives. And like you said, we don't want to necessarily be alone all of the time. We want to be in the company of others, some more than others, but I know that it's really a beautiful thing when you feel like, oh, it's relatable. That makes sense. It feels familiar, or I needed that. I needed those moments in my life to really, even sometimes to help you carry on. You never know what people are going through, and I think it's really important to express that, that there are people out there for you, even when you might think that they're not, there are people out there for you. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Yeah, it's funny. I got in touch with someone, my very first roommate in college, I got in touch with because I hadn't heard from her probably in about 2 years. Yeah, 3 years. And she picked up the phone and she started crying because she's been having some hard times health-wise. And I called her just because I thought of her. And I think that we are running through our lives so fast that we don't necessarily think of one another to call anymore. It's and so and we had the best time, but we do need one another. And she hadn't reached out to me probably because she had all this stuff going on in her life and didn't want to quote unquote burden someone. But people need you to pick up the phone and call them. And I don't do that often myself. I don't get that many phone calls from friends, but I do know that I have like-minded people around me and they're all over the place now. It's amazing. I really do. So yeah, I share in that, Michelle.
Address Where Shay's question. She wanted to know, do you train others that would like to host or own retreats?
That is funny. I don't. I have thought about it, but I need to get a few more retreats under my belt before I decide to train someone. I will say that I am collaborating with the Exodus sister in is it October? Yeah, in October. And I can tell you that there are courses that you can take. That's how I didn't know that there was a course until I decided I wanted to call my business Wellside Retreats. And I just so happened to see that there's a course, and I've taken 2 courses, and myself, and I'm collaborating because it's easier to collaborate for a larger retreat. I will say that. And I've been an event planner in my life before, but there's a lot of moving pieces to retreat.
Yes.
And there's formulas almost to retreats for them to be successful. And I'm still learning. And it's really good to have, I will say this, it's really good to start doing a retreat at a place where you can get in with people you can talk with, like Michelle, or the place that I had my retreat, my first successful retreat that went off. And that was the woman who's a Black owner of the mansion at Noble Lane in the Pocono Mountains. She's part of Aquaba Inns. So she owns a number of locations, but I could talk to her, I could speak to her. She's happy to speak with everybody about her properties. And many people have retreats there. So she knew kind of like the formula of, and Michelle knows it too. So it's good to get help. I'll share the name of Wanderlust Travels I believe is the name of the place where I got my first course that I took. I believe it is.
I'll say this, there's a lot online, because when I first moved here, I also wanted to do a women's retreat. I just thought, oh, it'd be great. And my niche at the time I thought would be single mothers who, maybe work a lot, have a business, because that was my journey in Florida. And I always felt like I just never took enough time to reset. I was working, I had my business, I had rental properties and all this. So I was just constantly go. And when I moved here, I was able to relax and breathe because I was starting over, and I was just kind of like, okay, what I want to do. And I had several ladies that I met here who asked me, and I just kept saying a woman's retreat. And then I also felt the way, or I thought about the things that, how does it work? Do I need to go to a retreat that looks similar to what I think a retreat would be for me? Do I need to take a course? So I'll say this, that there are lots of ways you can do it. I think the focus should be what do I want people to experience? And it could be based on something that's personal for yourself, right? Like right now, I like what you said, your focus is to do retreats in different countries so you can also experience some of the ethnic traditions that are happening in those places, right? You can incorporate what is wellness in, let's say, Ecuador, what is wellness in a country in Africa, Africa? What is wellness in Mexico? What is wellness in Costa Rica or Indonesia or something like that? I would love to go somewhere where I could just be in water in an Asian country. I just want to go somewhere and have
Right.
healing water around me. I do. And
Right.
the other thing I want is to really go on a meditational retreat that's out in the middle of the forest. Somebody's blowing smoke on me. So if anybody
Me
knows,
too.
let me know. I'm there. So the point is that you have to decide what do I envision. It can be something that you really need, right? When I went into the retreat idea last year, I didn't really have a plan, if that makes sense. I just kind of kept saying, oh, I want it to be a girl's galentine, you know, and a girl's something or another. But fast forward to this year, it changed so much. It was a journey of my own personal experiences, just about, you know, the whole, you know, the relationship thing. It was just recognizing where I am in life, how old I am, how many more years I can potentially be here, God willing, and what do I need those years to look like from here, and claiming that, right? And so therefore I was able to go through my own healing things, not necessarily 100%, but I developed what it is that I wanted to portray in my messaging, and I knew that there were people who also needed that message. And that's where I developed Peace Not Pieces. And the same for you, Wellside Retreats. It's kind of like, well, these are my experiences, and now I'm going to bring this. So one of the things that I really have learned is the information is there, but it really is more reflective of what you want it to be. Yes, there's a logistics. Yes, there's moving parts and pieces, but there are lots of ways to do it. I remember sitting down about 2 years ago with my neighbor who has done retreats for decades. And I didn't know this, and then she just happened to say it to me. And she also is she also does sound bowl, and she does yoga. You know, she does goddess card readings and things like this. I didn't know this about her. She just literally I opened my door, her door was right there. And so we sat down one day and we had almost a 2-hour or more conversation. And she had so much knowledge. So if you can find a person like that, they can give you so much insight. She was like, you know, you don't want to do this and you don't want to do that. It was a lot of like instructional things, but it was very informative. And I remember thinking like, oh, not that I was afraid, but I just like, oh, I really need to think this through. I need to have space, you know. She's like, you want to make sure the space is reflective, and you want to make sure that, you know, you have, you know, kind of like you said, like-minded people in your group. You don't want like one person who's going to be like kind of throw it all off or whatever. And I just hadn't thought about any of those things. So the point simply is that I think retreats can be almost anything, right? She even has some fantastic ideas, so you guys feel free to bite them, about doing like a retreat where you are getting in touch with the senses. You know, like do like chocolates and maybe incense in another day and things like that. It was very interesting speaking to her, and she was quite knowledgeable, and I learned a lot. But there's info out there you can find. I found there's a woman, and I don't remember her name because it was during COVID pandemic. We're all on YouTube. She was talking about all her retreats, and she started doing retreats online. She started doing it virtually. So there are different ways that you can bring it, and you just have to look into it. If you are going to do a destination, you know, you have to then figure out the travel part and things like that. But I think the first part is what is the message? What is your messaging?
Absolutely. That's good, Michelle. It's what is the message? Who are you? Who do you want to come? And and I was just as you for your avatar. They asked you to choose an avatar. Who is the person that you want to serve, and the message that you want to serve to them? I was my own avatar. I was the woman who was exhausted, who had a toxic job, had a toxic relationship,
Yeah.
needed a place. I was that. So how am I going to do that for that person, for that make-believe person,
Right.
who just so happened to be myself?
I
Because
all
we are not alone. You are not alone.
Yes, yes, I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sunny. Yes. So thank you for that same frequency and vibration. I agree. 7 chakra healing,
Oh
7 course
yeah.
meal. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Let me say welcome to Lorraine, and she mentioned indeed we are not designed to grow in isolation. That is the beauty to have sisterhood because we nurture and yes, and spiritually, culturally, emotionally, we definitely are part of the thriving ecosystem. I agree
Oh yes.
wholeheartedly. I
Yeah.
think some of us, we all need our level of, what we need. I think some need more company, some need less. I'm one of those. I really, I think it's because when I do the social thing, I'm like, yeah, I'm here, and I'm going, this is a part of my process. But I also recognize too that I do need the downtime part and need the quiet and I need the,
Yes.
mental break and the
Mm.
getaway thing. Like when I travel typically to a place, I'm like, okay, I just want it to be kind of calm and quiet,
Mhm.
chill, and I'm taking things in because I'm visual. I like to see things. I
Yeah.
don't want to hear. But I think we all at some point need the company of being around others. I don't have sisters, so I think it was always hard for me to comprehend the sisterhood thing because I grew up with boys and rough boys are rough and tumble. So I was tomboy, I was rough and tumble too, still am.
Mhm.
But the point is that being here has made me realize like, I don't know who I was telling this to, but I was like, we should have a pajama party at CasaELM and let's just, go for a
That's
weekend.
fun.
Just yeah, I remember what this person shared with me. It was getting a cookbook and each of us picking a recipe out of the cookbook and coming and preparing it. And I was like, I love that. I said, and by the way, we could just stay for the weekend and drink wine and let's have a pajama party. And it was just one of those things where I was like, I like that because I never really had that kind of thing growing up, mostly because I just didn't have sisters. So I think that we all kind of can vibe with this, feminine desires that we need to connect with people who get us,
Yeah.
right? Who
Yes.
understand. Yeah. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's
Very good.
exciting.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
Michelle, I
tell us.
think you can, oh, look, I'm sorry.
No,
I
go
think
ahead.
I think you can go to Bali has this thing. I haven't been there yet. That was the first trip I planned actually, and the pandemic took it away. But Bali has the water ceremonies
Yes.
that you can go to. I don't know of any other culture that does water stuff
I think they do it here in Mexico. I
in
just
Mexico.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it's called because I actually know another retreat host. And
Okay.
she does a lot of outdoor healing. Um, welcome,
Okay.
Carol. I don't know if I welcomed Carol. Welcome. Thank you. I don't know if I'm sure she's here because she was the
Okay.
first person I tried a cacao ceremony with. And this was kind of, maybe towards the tail end of people being really panicked about not wearing masks and things like
Um,
that. Um, but I've seen her a few times online and they do, and I saw once a group of women, don't know what it is. It looked kind of maybe like an indigenous ceremony of some sort. And they were at the hot springs and there were about 3 or 4, and they were kind of holding like each other and they were in the water and they were just kind of holding and the other
oh
was just like,
yeah.
and it was so beautiful and very harmonious. and then they were holding, like kind of one holding from the back, the other. And it was just such a calming thing to see. And I wanted to ask, to be intrusive, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I need that in my life. But I saw a few things recently of her doing something very similar. So I do think it is something that happens in Mexico, but I would have to ask.
Okay. That sounds, so see, I'm nosy. I want to find out what it is.
Yeah, I'm going.
Because water is healing. Water is, I mean, yeah, water is healing.
Yes, absolutely. Like an outdoor falls experience, like, yeah, probably freezing cold, but. Oh, welcome, Cheryl. Yeah, she said, I've learned to, I don't have sisters either, and I've learned to be, yeah, you know, sometimes we learn how to be like-minded. And I do think that this is such a phase for us in this time, this chapter of life for so many women, that we are breaking away from maybe some of the norms or the expectations of us. And this isn't about, again, this is not about traditions and, you know, relationships per se. It's just kind of, you know what, these are the things I really want to experience. And, you know, I think we all recognize we only have but so many more years, and there's no guarantee. And I think that it's important to go out and experience what those things are. And I do love this movement of expression, right? And
yes,
yeah, there's so many people going through it, you know, right now. You know, I was listening to one of my very good friends, and just kind of like some of the stuff that she's going through work and stuff like that. And I just want to like shout on the mountaintops, like, you know, what do you want to do? What would excite you, you know? And I'm happy that he's taking time to reassess. And I, you know, just step away, reset, rejuvenate, let go, right? Break the mold a little bit. Yeah, it's scary. Yeah. It's scary. I
always ask the question, what do you want? You know, what do you want? You know, a lot of people, I shouldn't, it's not a broad brush with that statement, a lot of people, but several people that I've met recently, don't dream. They don't seem to dream or to want something, or, you know, to do something different. And that different is something, you know, from what they're doing now that they're miserable about or they're unhappy about. They aren't trying to find their happiness or to move towards something that they might even just be curious enough about, that could change their condition or their state of being, from unhappy to happy, or to be excited about something, like you said. Yeah. And so I try to do my best in asking the question about, or telling them, you know, about self-awareness, self-observation. What have you seen? Have you talked to yourself lately? You know, what's inside of you?
Right.
And yeah, so, you know, asking those questions becomes a little tricky when there's no response and you're trying to think of what else could help them. So I've been asked a lot about how did I make such big changes in my life recently. And so this woman that I was talking to you about earlier in the day, this first roommate of mine, she put her husband on the phone. They've been together since they were in high school. So, you know, long time. And he says, I want to congratulate you on all the progress that you've made in the last few years. And I didn't even know that he knew anything about the changes that I've gone through. Well, he follows me on Facebook and YouTube.
Oh, I love it.
because evidently she told him about me separating, but people really want to see that you have made a change for yourself.
Yeah.
People are happy. Some people are happy when you have, moved away from, the things that are not doing you any good. He was like, I'm rooting for you. I'm still rooting for you.
I think it's a beautiful thing. Just recognizing when you need that.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted to go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, yeah, we want people to be happy. People that we meet, or people who are referred to me, or I was referred to, people are referred to me. And they said Kathy went through, through a marriage that, that ended up like, didn't end up well. Why don't you call her?
Call
I'm
me
like an expert.
too.
I've had a lot of those calls. So I'm no expert. It's just, I just don't want people to be left behind, because there is so much life to live. There really is.
I think it's important. I think one of the key things, I wanted to say welcome to Delia. And she says she did not dream. My old life didn't have the space for it. I think that's a very profound statement. Thank you for sharing that. And, absolutely, Miss K. Bate, meeting new people, like-minded people to share space with. Deborah's absolutely refreshing, renewing when you can step into a new realm. I think it's recognizing when you need to do that and not having the fear to grasp. And again, as I said earlier, when I set up Peace Not Pieces, although it was around my personal situation, I really didn't want it to be about the complaining part. Do you know what I mean? It was just kind of like, you know what? I'm here to say, like, you know what, free yourself from anything, no matter what that situation is. Live your life, that was really for me. It's like, grasp at the thing you need to, right? When you recognize that you need to do something different, don't be afraid.
Yes.
And what I think, when people refer you to someone or someone to you and say, hey, talk to so-and-so, or talk to, Kathy or whomever, talk to Michelle, it's that although maybe for us it was scary, but I think the inspiration exists, right? And sometimes people can see themselves or their situation, because I had a lot of people ask me questions, and I was in such a place at that time of, I wasn't bothered. I don't know how to explain. I wasn't bothered. It was just like, I knew what I needed to do and I just did it. And I didn't need to talk about it, and I didn't talk about it. Like, people were shocked because I just was like, okay, doing this, and then I was done. And I was like, I can't focus on that. I have to focus on my business, and I have to focus on my life and my kid and my dog and I had no time to stop. And I'm falling apart. Get it. I understand that sometimes you have to grieve, but I was beyond that. I was just like, I'm done. But the inspiration, I believe, existed because I had a lot of people that I know asked a lot of questions that I know were going through their own things, but I was very light with my answer, just like, you got to kind of figure out what's good for you, what's working for you. And when it's, you have to also acknowledge that. And that's for everything. That's with the job, that's with a relationship, that's with family. Maybe that's not for you anymore. They're not supporting you the way you need to, or they're not supporting you moving and traveling. It can be anything. It can be anything. So recognizing that when you need to.
And a lot of times, when big things happen, pivotal moments in your life, things that you aren't sure how to navigate, you really just try to move through it. And what starts feeling good is when you have really gone through it, and then you look back and you say, oh, this is what I did. I know that's what happened with me. I was like, what am I going to do? And it was like, what do they call it? It's like, you're fearful, but you act out of fear of the unknown. You just move through it. And I'm not a person who feels fear quite often, but I'm like, I'm so used to this. What am I going to do moving forward? And I was just kind of like taking a machete and going through the jungle. That's how it felt until I got out, and I put things together. I wrote a lot. I had my own little blueprint. I wrote down things that I would have to do. And if it was like, if this doesn't work, then I'll do this. And that's how I've been handling a lot of transition. I talk about journaling quite a bit, but that's what made it, I gave myself direction. Right. And so, yeah, that's how I got through. And also I would say, if I went through mediation as opposed to trying to find a lawyer who I knew was going to charge me an arm and a leg. I went through mediation.
It's faster and less stress. I did the same.
Yeah.
And I think, when you recognize the peace you need to regain, you do it. For me, it was just as I feel now. I couldn't wait to get to this place. I couldn't wait to have like my kind of like space and calm back. And so it was very easy for me to let go of a lot of things because I just wanted to get to my new space, my new whatever. It's not to say you don't deal with things, but it wasn't like maybe some other situations, how they would kind of go down. So I think for me, it was just one of those things where I was like, okay, I'm looking forward to this peace and quiet that I need in my life. And I think that once you recognize that in any capacity, any situation, circumstance, as I said before, it's not just about relationship, job, whatever it is.
Whatever.
I need to hit the road, like Adelia said, and everyone else kind of has like that thing they need to do, right? I really think it's important. Again, yes, I see you ladies commenting on the Peace Not Pieces title. It's exactly that. That I think was one of the first kind of statements that came to me. And I didn't share my full kind of how I got to it, or the title was, I really was just kind of like thinking of words that I wanted to create a canvas out of. I know I shared this with you.
Yes.
You probably heard the story. And I just kind of kept saying, okay, there was things that I just kind of felt like, okay, I got to remember I'm a goddess, right? We are all goddesses. We are all queens, right? And yes, if you want to call me the B word, then I'm a bad bitch. But I'm a bad
I love
bitch,
that.
right? And so all of these kind of things were coming to me, self-love, self-care, peace, not pieces. And, that was the prominent thing you could see when I had the makeup artist put those words. It was on my arm that said what it needed to say, right? And it was on, I think it was it was on my right arm because that's my strong side. And it was, for me, it was the message that this is who I am and I will always be this person. And I choose this, not to be all on the floor and crumbled because, someone else is just creating, whatever. And I say someone else, I mean anything in your life, anything in your life. It was just important for me to recognize that I'm not 25, right? And I don't want to live like that, because when we're younger, we're still finding ourselves, right?
That's right.
All,
Right.
we have all had those relationships that were high school and college,
Yeah.
and a lot of drama, and you put up with it because we don't know any better. Maybe you don't have your voice quite yet or whatever. But at this point in life, I know that moving into these middle age phases and looking like 10 years out, it's like, okay, I'm in this space to be quiet, right? And my purpose and enjoy myself. And you see your friends dying, right? I've had people
Yes.
away this year, they're only
Yes.
50 and just turned 50. I've had a lot of these types of situations. I see my dad is very, falling apart and deteriorating. So for me, it's important to recognize these changes that we all are going to experience if we're alive and well. We're going to have older people in our lives, older friends. Our parents are going to, sick and pass away before us if that's our destiny, that it goes this way. But the point is that we can't take any of it for granted. So for me, waking up every day, even with work and stress and things like that, it's like, oh, I can still see, I have my help, I can walk, I get food on my table, I can, hear the birds chirping, and all of these things are so important to relish in them and not let, life stresses tear us apart. I don't know how much to express that. We have to be present in
Yes.
what we're, it's a blessing. It really is a blessing.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's a blessing. It's a blessing when you can keep yourself together and find that peace.
Mhm.
And that's, I guess that's the surprise that, people looking in to see that you are whole,
Mhm.
you are whole, you are holding yourself up, and they're like, how did she do that? And that's beautiful, and that it does send a message, because a lot of people suffer. A lot of people suffer, and they suffer quietly. They don't want to talk about, whether it be poor relationships, a job or a career that's gone awry, finances, whatever. No
Yeah.
one wants to talk about these things. I call it really tough, tough topics to discuss. But if you can show someone that you can deal with these topics or these situations, and and be whole, a whole person. And it takes time, it takes work for some. It took me time, and I'm still working through some things, but I decided that, I'm not a victim in any of this. I'm not a victim. And there's more life to live. I'm nosy, I'm curious. I want to see what's in the, there's too much to do. Yeah, and I just see just the opportunities to make change. And that's what I hope people can learn how to do by getting in touch with themselves at a retreat, at a, I don't know, experiential travel, because I believe travel does that for people. It does it for me. Having the time, scheduling and taking the time, and securing the time to do it. I mean, I blew my own mind when I took a sabbatical. For 3 months. I mean, to me, that was a long time. You could do that longer, but for 3 months, I did that. It was just amazing. I still can't get over it that I was able to do that, and slept and worked and ate and met new people in some other country. I mean, it's just yeah. And I truly encourage anyone who wants to do it, and it can be done.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. I think we all can benefit from that kind of expansion. And it's not just about, oh, I got to go to this cool city and I got to see everything. Sometimes it could be going to a new place and doing nothing, right?
Doing nothing. Absolutely.
Chilling on a chair and
Chilling
relax,
on a chair. That's
whatever that
right.
looks like for you.
That's right.
So I just wanted to see if anyone else commented. I've learned that can make people understand your why. I agree, Cheryl. You got to walk in peace. There are always naysayers. I was watching a video earlier that not everyone is going to support your journey, nor understand it. And maybe, God put that journey in front of you for you to walk down that path. You may not, get the support from someone else because they're not going to understand that. Whatever that is for you, whatever that looks like, I think it's really important for us to try to find what is your purpose. And I do think that that's what you're expressing here is, my purpose is to now try this, right? I know for me, I feel like my purpose initially was for me to take my child out of an environment that I didn't think was going to be healthy down the road. I always said I can be, the most fabulous mother and, parent and give all these experiences. But if I'm in the environment that's a challenge, I probably am going to be fighting the environment that we're in. So let's go to somewhere else where it feels different and it's not maybe stereotyping. And that's, how I got to this part of my journey. And then sharing that experiences, just like a lot of the other ladies do here on YouTube, was this is also for you, right? This is not something, for the rich and famous. This is, you make a plan and you can also do it. This is how it is. This is my experience. So that's now our purpose, right? Maybe in 5 years, my purpose will change or pivot a little bit. But the point is that I felt very moved to share my life in Mexico because one, I was grateful for it. It was so refreshing to me to be here and to see my child thriving in an environment that I didn't even know existed this way. I had traveled, I'd been to Mexico plenty of times, but not with my kid. I mean, the first time I brought him to Mexico and his first international trip, he was 1. Remember that. He didn't remember this, but I remember thinking like, this is kind of cool. This would be nice to, do like a trip a year and go here or wherever. And every birthday we would do something. And finally, fast forward to, when we decided to come, is just that blessing of being here, but also finding what is the purpose. And I do feel like being a part of the journeys that other people are taking and being willing to share that experience with others has really shown me, I feel like that's my purpose, is to help others who are interested in leaving. I'm not here to bend the arm of those who are not. So, every now and then, you get a troll on YouTube and I say something weeks ago, and I'm just like, if you have no intentions of moving to Mexico, you don't have to be here. Like, why even take the time to write a note to say, I'm never moving to Mexico? I really could care less. I'm just like, okay, thank you for sharing. Like, okay, this is a channel about moving to Mexico. So it's just kind of one of those things where, this is why I share, because I enjoy my life here. Is it perfect? It's perfect? No. But I think it's important for us to tap into our purpose. And when you find it, even if it changes, it's okay, right? But that's right. And you put it out there. And like you said, you did your sabbatical. And I think a lot of ladies that are doing this, it's like, oh, wow, I have this to say. I have to share. I have this testimony to give to the world. And I want to shout it at the top of the mountain, that is a blessing. That's your voice. You found your voice.
Yeah. It's Yeah, yeah, I don't know what more to say to that, you know, it's exciting to have different experiences to share. It
Mhm.
really is, you know, that people want to hear about as opposed to, you know, some, I, you know, I think there was one thing that you wrote in one of the summaries about what was going to be discussed, and one of them was, you know, my work that I had done and being an information professional and, you know, a law librarian and a commissioner. And I was thinking to myself, I know I have to go back to my website and change that because I don't care about sharing any of that
I
information
actually, I didn't even know
anymore.
that you did all of those things before, you know, 'cause I know before, I remember you talking about journaling and, you know,
Yeah,
taking a sabbatical. We spoke a few years ago, you told me that you had this retreat planned in Bali, but it got changed up
yeah,
of
yeah.
pandemic and things like that. So the person who helps me with my social media stuff,
Oh,
put
okay.
it together, and I was like, I didn't know she did all of that, but I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
I,
I love
that's
it.
funny. Yeah, I did all that stuff. I don't even care about all that stuff anymore. I would never, I don't tell people any of this.
Got you on blast. We put you on blast.
They won't get anything out of that.
He's like, don't ask me any questions about that old life.
Nah, they don't need no nothing. I ran for public office, and
Didn't know
soon after
that
that realized
either.
that I am no politician. I am no politician. I'm an advocate, if anything, but I'm no politician.
Mhm.
I will say it was great to be elected the first Black woman ever in this town that I was that I won office. But
What were you
after,
elected as?
I'm sorry,
What were you elected for? What position?
township commissioner, one of 8 that sat on a board. And I was
Wow.
only the first woman and the first Black person. There was another Black man we ran together. So we were the first 2 African Americans ever in this township
Yeah,
to
interesting.
to to sit on the board. And I did a term of 4 years,
Mhm.
and I was like, no, no more. I'm not knocking on doors anymore. So I don't tell people that. I guess I need to really scrape that from any record. So, and I don't even watch politics or the news anymore.
Yeah,
So
I, I
it's
don't even,
not part of my life anymore.
I don't either.
Yeah.
So So I want to just kind of put out there that your retreat, wellsideretreats.com, is going to be August 13th through the 20th. And it'll be for 1 week here in San Miguel. We're so happy to have and hold the space for you and your
Thank you.
group. For anyone watching, if you're interested in being a retreat host, you know, we have the space for it. It's really an intimate setting. You know, there are 5 rooms, so that's kind of, you know, what the space will hold comfortably. And I think that it's important for anyone who wants to gather that this is an amazing space to do that. We're very cautious about what we bring into this space. You know, I really do believe in the energy of things. Our facilitators are amazing, as you mentioned, Nina Simone earlier. We have a new manager. She's on tonight, and she actually is also, I hope I get this right, Kemetic yoga certified instructor. Yes, and so in saying all of that is, you know, we are trying to really promote health and wellness for women of color, and we really want to have anyone who's interested in bringing their group. You know, we help you put it together, but then we let you do your thing. We stay out of your way in your space. We also do our own retreats, but I also want to kind of share that. So I will have, I think it's next week or the week after, someone else that's going to be bringing their group and just talking about their experiences working with us and things like that. And then I'll also have my two of my ladies from our April retreat that'll come on next week. Yolanda's one, she was on tonight, and Miss Shalisa to talk about their experience. Just, this month is all about that. And I just wanted to take time to focus on health and wellness and self-care, definitely empowerment. I am all about it. I'm really all about it. I mean, people always say, oh, you're so calm. And so I'm like, I am, but I'm that girl that will be out there being like, yeah, I'm her. Like, no, women's rights, yeah. So I think it's really important, again, to have that voice. Welcome, like to Legacy. I'm glad that you're on.
Sandra.
Yes,
Yeah.
isn't she in Asia? I've seen some of her.
Yeah, she's in Bali. She's where I want to be.
I want to be there too. I haven't been to Bali yet. It's on my list. It's on my list. Yeah. And welcome, Black Artivism. Welcome.
Oh, wow. Okay, another Kia.
Okay.
Booker. Yeah.
Hey, welcome. Yeah, everyone has like a incognito name. I'm just like,
I don't. I haven't found. Well, yeah, I haven't found mine yet. I have to get hip and find one.
Yeah. I'm feeling myself because it's so hot here.
I know you look like you're kind of warm.
It's been unusually warm in San Miguel. It's nice in the morning. So I was discussing this earlier today with someone else, and I was telling her that it's been very hot. It's not normally this hot, I don't think, but it's been in the mid 90s for us. But what's crazy is in the morning when I go walking, 6:30, it's 55 degrees. And then it goes up to 90. So we get a 30 to 40 degree increase or change, depending on.
That's strange.
Yeah,
it's a big jump.
But I don't know why, but I'm hoping for our rainy season to start soon. So I'm utilizing this beautiful fan Anne-Marie gave me. She brought from Africa. So cute. And it's not nice. Paper. It's actually cloth. It's not. It's very durable. I love it.
Tell me this, in August, what is the weather going to be like? August 13th through 20th.
You know what? Good to know. It should be a lot cooler because once it starts raining, it's very comfortable here. You can kind of maybe do a search for like the average temperature. Yeah. In August, but it's much cooler. I would say our summer months are typically April and May, and maybe part of June. Every year that I've been in San Miguel, it's now 5 years, it always starts raining around this time, middle of June to the end of June. And then our rainy season is July, August, and September.
Right.
But it's not a rain all day. It's kind of in the afternoon, which is really amazing. If you like thunderstorms and lightning. I do. Yeah. It's really beautiful. So, and it's comfortable. So, yeah, you can check the weather closer to those dates to see how you should pack and what to wear. Yeah. Bring plastic poncho from the dollar store. Okay. Over your head. Sounds good. So, that sounds good. So I'm excited about it all. And the people that signed up so far are excited as well. Excellent. Yeah. Still 2 spaces left, ladies. So if you're interested in joining Kathy, you can go to her website and you can see what the itinerary looks like. I will be present to help facilitate, anything activity wise, but you guys will have your space to just do your thing. As I said, San Miguel is just a beautiful town and a great experience to have. There's a lot to see. So there's plenty of time to do the things you do, to do the sisterhood thing, but also to experience the city as well.
Right, right.
Hope you
Yeah,
all will support it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I want people to come and rest if they need to rest and participate if they, in excursions. And we already have things built into the program for you to experience, but you can also go it alone if you want. You don't have to, yeah.
I'm gonna put here, just in case someone's interested, the airports that are close to us.
Oh, yeah.
For you. I think they might be on your website as well.
Yes.
Already.
Mhm.
So yeah, if you
Okay.
have any questions, let us know.
Very good.
We can answer them before we go. And if you have any questions for Kathy, please reach out to her again at wellsideretreats.care. I'm going to put it
Yes.
just in case someone came on after.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
What I like about this, and what I should have thought of in a retreat I did last year, was to have really the transportation, the ground transportation from the airport to CasaELM, and that's included in the cost also. So you get from the airport to San Miguel.
Yes, it's door to door.
Door to door.
Yes, it's a service we use all the time. Extreme. I've never had a problem in 5 years. They're very professional, sign with your name on it, the name of the company. So, and yeah, it's a door-to-door service. They're very efficient. Sometimes they drive a little fast, but that's my,
Right.
but beautiful. It's a beautiful, smooth experience. And as I said, there's lots to see and do. And I love your program. I love the itinerary that you put together.
Oh,
So
good.
2 more seasons, ladies, jump on it. Jump on it.
Jump on it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Hope no one has more questions. I will say good night to everyone. Let me just check to make sure. Thank you so much. I'm glad you all joined us. It wasn't fully a night about, Mexico and questions on how to move and all that. There are lots of videos on my channel about moving to Mexico. We will definitely get back to that, but I wanted to take this month in my lives to focus on, the other parts of our lives that sometimes we need to lift up off the ground and, recognize the reset when it's necessary. So I hope that you'll join Kathy in August. And if August doesn't work, we're doing our Peace Not Pieces retreat September 26th, and you can find more info at CasaELM. Thank you for being here. I forgot to say this. Please hit the like button. Okay, please hit the like for everyone that's here right now. Just
the like button, please.
It's real easy. I keep forgetting. And if you haven't subscribed and you come here and you like say, please subscribe. Please subscribe. I always forget this, and it's
I know.
I start talking and I'm just like, yes, let's get on the topic. But thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate all of you ladies and anyone else that's joined us, and the support, and anyone watching the replay. Thank you so much, Kathy. I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. Finally,
yeah.
And as well for a while. I think we all kind of roll in a very small circle.
Yeah.
Big circle, but kind of small in the the YouTube universe. And I love that, you're going to be coming here. It's just my pleasure to show you the city and also your guest, and for them to enjoy themselves. Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you so much. I look forward to meeting you.
Likewise. All right. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
All right. Gotta figure this. 1 second. Oh, there it is.
Still live? There.
Okay, yeah, now